adjacent direction. Reason being that I've got TikTok on this side. Oh, hello, hi guys. Today we are gonna be talking about loneliness. So, what is loneliness? Is what we're talking about. So, I've got all my live videos all set up here. I've got TikTok on this side, so I'm going to be facing more of this side. Then I've got my YouTube facing in front of me, and on this far end there, I've got Instagram and Facebook. So, thank you for joining my live, guys. Today we are going to be talking about what is loneliness. Loneliness is something a lot of people don't really think about because you feel you're young, you're agile, you've got strength, success. Thanks for joining. So, loneliness is something that everybody needs to talk about. The reason being, because loneliness is something that can affect people, and then yet people don't talk about it because they feel it's not important. But please, 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 if you're watching me, understand the fact that whether you're young, you're in your middle age, whether you're just a teenager or you're older, regardless what you are, what stage of life you are, loneliness is a topic that needs to be talked about, and it's something that you need to have an idea about. So, for those on TikTok, feel free and follow yourselves. We try to promote one another. So feel free. You can gift us if you want, and if you want to be a co-host or multi-guest, feel free, and I'll bring you up to the box. Having said that, today's topic is loneliness. Now, what is loneliness? Imagine being surrounded by people at work, in public, or even at home, yes, still feeling completely alone. It, that is what loneliness feels like. That feeling is called loneliness. And today I will talk about what loneliness is, its causes, and possible treatment for loneliness. I know a lot of people say, oh, wait a minute, loneliness. Oh, I can just have friends and I'll stop being lonely. Yes. But that one is temporal. If you have friends and or you go out every day, you don't feel well. How about the times that you're not with your friends? How about the times you're alone in the house? Are you still lonely? So that's the thing you need to figure out. Loneliness, what loneliness is all about, and the difference between loneliness and isolation. Now, listen. Loneliness is the emotional feeling of being isolated or disconnected from others. So that is just an emotional feeling of being. Hi, thanks for joining, guys. I appreciate you. Hi. So loneliness is the emotional feeling of being isolated or disconnected from others, if you must know. It occurs when a person feels that their social relationships are not meaningful or sufficient. So that can be classed as loneliness. Loneliness is not the same as being physically alone. So basically, you can be with a group of persons. I have experienced loneliness, loneliness at work. You are surrounded by a lot of people, but you're lonely. So and also, so you need to understand the difference. So it occurs when a person feels their social relationship are not meaningful or sufficient. That is one. The also loneliness is not the same as being physically alone. You can be physically alone. Like now, I am physically alone in this room, but I am not lonely. The reason why I'm not lonely is because I'm busy. I'm doing stuff. And when I'm finished doing stuff, I've got to go get the kids' lunch ready. Then I'll go have my lunch. Then I'll come back again. I'll do my assignment. Then again, I'll go and have some nap. Then I'll get up again and get ready for work. So all these things is what keeps me busy and keeps me going through the day. You get what I mean? So I would necessarily not say I'm lonely just now because already I'm doing something. I'm alone in the room. I know in the living area, but I am not lonely. So you need to understand that. So a person can be alone and feel peaceful or comfortable. So that is the state I would describe myself. I am alone in this room, but I am peaceful and I feel I'm comfortable. Okay, so that is one thing that you need to understand. Be able to differentiate between loneliness and being alone and isolation. Now, loneliness usually involves sadness to some people, yes. Loneliness usually involves sadness, emptiness, or a feeling of not belonging. That is loneliness. I have been in a job that I really recently worked out on a job. The only reason I left that job because there are a lot of couple of other toxic issues going on at the workplace. But I left the job because I needed happiness. And the happiness is not something I really derive from the job. I really love the job. I love the job and I done the job to the best of my ability, my knowledge. But you see, the only reason, and it's a job I sincerely love, I wanted to work there for the next 25, 30 years. You understand? But then, when I had to leave because at a point I knew I'm having that feeling of not belonging to the team. I really don't feel belong in the team. Every little mistake is being escalated beyond proportion. So I just felt I'm not part of the team, and there's no point killing yourself over something. Sometimes you just let go. It hurts initially when you're letting go something you love so much. Like for me, the job I left, I is when I got the job, I was very grateful. I love the job. I love the dynamics of the job. Everything about the job I love it, and I love the job so passionately. The job doesn't start until half eight, but I start half seven because of the compassion I've got for the job. But then sometimes you love something so much that when it's time for you to move on, you look at other factors around it. If it's something that you know that your well-being is being impacted, just let go and move on. I don't know. I'm having delayed recording on YouTube, as in when I speak, it echoes after I've spoken, or I don't know. Anyway, is anyway, that's fine. So sometimes you really need to let go, because there's no point fighting over something that you're never going to win. Because if you're in a work setting, for example, and you're feeling lonely at work, when you're feeling that a sense of loneliness, although you're surrounded by a group of people, but you are lonely because you're not accepted in the team, for personal reasons, or maybe you feel so scared even speaking, because when you speak they misinterpret it, or because you've been terribly hurt, or they've used some languages against you that makes you feel you're not wanted, you don't belong to the team, so that makes you feel so quiet, or feeling so like unwanted in the team, or having that low self-esteem for yourself. So when it has come to that situation whereby your work ethic is affecting you mentally, or you're affecting your well-being, just let it go. There's no point fighting over anything in this life. So that is what loneliness feels like. The only reason I am coming out to talk about loneliness today and to advocate to people that if you're feeling lonely in a particular environment, you need the help. You need help. Sometimes the approach we use to seek that help might be wrong. And sometimes, you see, say I'm using workplace example because if you're a foreigner working overseas, it is 80% of foreigners in foreign countries would experience what loneliness is. When I mean loneliness, yes, around the globe, and then not just that, you experience loneliness more at workplace. So that is why my case study is going to be centered at workplace. The reason why I said workplace, because if you're in a foreign country or even your country, you want to work. So if you're a foreigner, for example, and 80% of foreigners feel lonely at work, then they work environment where there are a lot of people, but they still feel very lonely. So that is why I'm making that case study as work related, so that you know when to seek help, and you know when to like just quit. Sometimes even if that job pays you like millions, just quit. The reason why you have to quit, because your health is being impacted. You have to really quit. You must quit. If you don't quit, you'll be going to work sad. You'll be making mistakes. And remember, when you make mistakes, because people don't even like you at work, when you make mistakes, it's going to be escalated, and it is their word against you, because some people are looking for ways for you to make mistakes, so they use that to trap you down. So that is why it's okay to leave. Sometimes even when you want to leave, it's not easy. They'll fight you. They'll bring flimsy lies. They'll cook up stories. They want to bring things. Oh, she done this last year. She done this, or he done this 4 months ago. All those things are lies, just to trap you down. But if you have God by yourself, and if you know your work, that's why any job you're doing, do it really well. Know your work ethics. Nobody's going to bully you. Nobody's going to like use anything to pin you down. If they try, know your right. Read the employment law, the company policy law. Have your solicitor handy, have your union rep handy, so that when they want to try this their bullshit, you just make sure you pick it up from there. You don't have to cry for anybody. Now, having said that, let's go back to why we are here today. Loneliness usually involves sadness, emptiness, or a feeling of not belonging to a group of cycle. It could be in your church, in your neighborhood, or in your workplace. And it can affect anyone regardless of your age, your gender, or your social status. So that's why I said I did quit my job recently. The only reason why I said I quit the job was there are multiple issues, but then I quit the job due to the toxicity of the environment. The environment is so toxic. When I mean toxic, the moment you walk in, because I'm a very spiritual person, the moment I walk into the room, in the morning when I leave my house, I'm very happy. I go to my all my visits. By the time I get to the office, as I step into the room, my spiritual instinct just tells me, this has happened, this is what is going on. The gossip there is terrible. You know, in a place like that where a toxicity can make your well-being, can reduce your well-being, it is not a place for you to be. So that's why I say it can affect anybody. It doesn't matter who you are, whether you are up there or you're down there. It can affect anybody. So that is why you need to know what you're doing. You need to know what you want to achieve. You understand, and then go for it. And when you see, sometimes like for me, speaking out, a lot of people say, "Oh, speak out, speak out." The only reason why sometimes I don't speak out is because sometimes when you speak out, you become the victim. You are automatically the victim, but when you speak out, you become the target. So for you to speak out, you need a lot of time, energy, evidences, and so many other things. And besides, don't forget, there are a lot of people that will say, "Yes, I was there when you were treated badly, or this happened, this happened." When it's practically time for them to come and give witness, they will all run away. So you need to understand that fact. So rather than you making up, going to um, call people out when you know there is nobody that will come and stand for you as witness in court of law, you better just let it slide. Just move on. Just change career and just move on. If it's church, change church and move on. If it's your neighborhood, move out of the neighborhood and move on. So that is why it's important to know what loneliness is all about. So, like I said, it can affect anyone regardless of your age, your gender, or your social status. The loneliness can be temporal or long term. Like the issue about the job I talked about, I started feeling lonely um, just 6 months into the job, and I couldn't cope. For the first year passed, I was like, this is pure loneliness. You stay at workplace, yeah, with group of people, you really can't interact because anything you say will be used against you. So you are being overly cautious, you're being careful, you're not free, And if you're the type that is like, for me, I'm a very social person, I'm a very free-minded person. So if I find myself in an environment where I'm scared to speak, I just identify that this is loneliness. Why am I scared to speak? I'm scared to speak because of the settings, the workplace dynamic, or the context, the toxicity of the place. In that case, I am beginning to feel lonely, although I'm within a group of set of people. It's time for me to quit. It's time for me to move on. So that is why I said it can be temporal. So in that situation, mine was temporal. Okay, I was feeling lonely, temporarily, so I had to move on. So if you're in that situation as well, it's fine. And I'll also give you an example of people that can be lonely for on a long-term basis, like people that have got disability, that they stay in the house alone, they've lost their friends, they've lost their families, they've got carers come in and out. Carers coming into your house in and out to just do morning washing and dressing, your lunchtime, and do your meds, or tuck you back in bed at tea time. You will not class that as a company because they are coming for like half an hour or 1 hour max to do personal care for you, and they leave. So during that period, you have a chat. That chatting you are having does not mean you're not lonely anymore. You are still lonely. Just that you have somebody to chat with that short period of time. But regardless that chat, you're still lonely. So you need to really understand. For those that that's a long time. So that's an example of a long-term loneliness. So I talked about the short-term loneliness, like my own one, that I was lonely at my place of work. I was working with other group of people, and 80% were 70% were amazing, but the 30% are the people in power that were horrible to me, as in extremely horrible to me. Horrible to me. That they look for mistakes, they gossip about you, anything you say, they re-escalate it. You make mistake, they'll force you to. They compound things, and they make a lot of series of mistakes, which is the brush under the carpet, because obviously it's supremacy and equality or hierarchy or rank, whatever, that is on top of all this game politics they are playing at work. So having said that, for me, I just feel, you know what, you really need to move on with life, honestly, because you really can't continue like this. So if people see you being a colored person, or they just feel all colored people are idiots, or all colored people are fools, or they're not intelligent, that is not the truth. There are a lot of us here that are extremely intelligent, extremely knowledgeable, extremely intelligent. So the choice is if you want to speak and become the target, or you want to just move on. For me, I believe just not speak about it, just move on, just quit and move to somewhere else. That is the way I see my own thing, but other people can see it differently. So the choice is just what you really want to do. But before you take any decision, you need to watch. If I speak out, will I become the target? If I speak out, will people be there as witnesses? Those are the things you really need to consider. And if you feel all these things are limited from your own side of then just move on. It's okay for you to move on. There's absolutely no need staying in a toxic environment where every day your health is spinning, you are not happy, you're just like going to work for going say because you are rotated, you have to go to work, but inwardly you are like gone, far gone. Things like that, you can just have multiple health issues. So the best bet is to speak out and move on, or you don't speak out, you just move on. The reason why sometimes I encourage people to speak out, because if you speak out, people put everything into consideration and inform, improve in their practice as well. Because some managers, they feel they know everything, but some of them don't know everything. No human being in this life knows everything. The person that you think don't know anything knows things that you don't know. But people feel because they are high up, they can make up stories, they can lie on people's head that junior, who are you? After all, you're a black person, nobody can say anything. Anything I say is me against you, But they are forgetting we have somebody up there, which is God. God does not lie, and he sees everybody. And that is why you don't need to be scared. Any decision you're taking, be bold, go for it, and let me tell you, you come out victorious. God will prepare a table before you in the midst of your enemies, and you shall keep shining. Nobody will come after you that will succeed, because your hands are clean, your heart is clean, and you're doing your job perfectly well. So obviously, so these are the two examples of long-term loneliness and short-term loneliness. We also have what we call the temporal loneliness may occur during life changes or stressful situation, like I've just said, at workplace. And also chronic or long-term loneliness occurs when someone feels isolated for a long period of time, due to maybe disability or one illness or the other. Now, having said that, persistent loneliness can affect mental and physical health. So that is why I said persistent means it is continuous. So continuous loneliness can affect mental health. Hi, Francis. Thanks for joining. So those are joining us just now. We're talking about loneliness. What is loneliness? Causes of loneliness and when to seek help. Okay. So having said that, it can persistent loneliness can affect mental and physical health. When I mean mental health, you are always worried, you're anxious, you're just panicking. If you're in a church environment or in your work environment, you're always panicking. The reason you're panicking because you are worried that I'm lonely. I don't know. You're just panicking all the time. You're anxious. So that is that can affect you mentally, and it can affect you physically as well. Because mentally, if you're not stable, there's no way you're going to be physically okay. So there's a lot of things that you need to put into consideration and try not to. Have you had your bath? No. All right. So and also loneliness can reduce motivation, happiness, and overall well-being. Like I said, I recently did quit my job. The reason I quit my job, not because it's a job I sincerely love. Like, all my friends know how much I love that job. I love that job to the point that I'm so happy leaving my house going for this job. But you see, when it comes to a point whereby workplace environment is so toxic that you really can't endure, and being a foreigner, you are being cautious as well, because it's going to be them against you. So you're being very, very careful. I had to make that decision because this paragraph happened to me. My motivation was declining. I noticed that my happiness within the team was declining because anything you say is being used against you. If you're not talking this, they'll go and gossip that you're sad. If you're talking, they'll go and gossip that you're talking too much. If you're smiling, they'll say you're smiling too much. Anything you do is a problem to them. So what they just want you, they don't want to see you. So in that situation, rather than you staying there and they'll put you in big trouble or lie, come and gang up lies against you, because they do it at workplace. 4 or 5 people will gang up and lie against you. They know they are lying, But just because they see you as a threat, or they see you as, I don't want her, we don't want black person in our midst, they want to chase away every black people in their midst, or every white person in their midst, they will just want to do that. So in that situation, you just have to move. And not everything's about race anyway. Some is your personality that is making people not to like you. But if you're the type that you know yourself, your personality, you're being social, you get along with people, and all of a sudden you go to the particular new place, you're not getting along with people in that area, there's something wrong. It's not just all about you, it's all about maybe a combination of both. So that's why you really need to be very, very careful. Now, having said that, now what are the causes of loneliness? Like I said, we've talked a lot about what is loneliness. So now you know the difference between loneliness, being alone, like I'm alone just now downstairs here doing my content, and but I am not lonely because I've got my kids upstairs. When I finish here, just not lonely. I'm just like alone downstairs, but I'm comfortable and I'm peaceful, you know. So I am not lonely. You understand? But when I was at work, before I quit my other job, when I was at work, I was lonely at work because I can't trust anybody to speak to, because 70% were really nice to me. And out of that 70%, 20% were going through the same thing I was going to, but they don't want to speak. I don't want to speak. We're all suffering in it. But I said I can't continue like this because it's a job I will be doing for the next 25 years. So I won't just fold my hands and suffer for the next 25 years. So I would rather I just move on, speak and move on. And that is exactly what I did. Even despite the fact that I want to move on, they are bringing a lot of lies and stories and this and that, trying to stop my move, trying to do so many things, you know. So that is why you need to be very, very careful. You need to be very, very prayerful. Listen to your instinct. I have a very powerful instinct, and I will listen to my instinct. And my instinct has never failed me since I was born till date. So you need to listen to your instinct, and you need to make sure you are very, very spiritual and very, very prayerful as well, because there's a whole lot of things that you can't see with the physical eyes. So that is why you need to be very, very careful. God that knows your heart will always keep you safe. Issues will happen before you arrive, and you leave before it will happen. You will never be caught short. So that is why you need to be very, very careful, very, very prayerful, and above all, anything you're doing in this life, be very, very passionate about it. Know it very well, love doing it, not just do it for the money, do it because you've got the compassion, you've got the passion to do it, you've got the love, you've got the enthusiasm to do it. And all these good works you have done will speak for you when there is problem. When problem arise, all this good work will speak for you, you know. So that is why I've seen a lot, honestly. I made it clear, I don't want to go formal. I want to make it just informal and just move on with my life. If I wanted to make it formal, there's a whole lot of things that I would have spilled, that will a lot of damaging reputation, a lot of things that is so damaging that will all end up in court. But you know what? I said to myself, I won't be going that extent. I've got a lot of evidence, a lot of things, but then I said to myself, I will just like move on. Just move on. Let's pretend nothing ever happened and just move on. So the choice is just what you want to do out of your own life as well. So it's very, very important. You know what you want, listen to your instinct and walk by the book. Anywhere you are going, walk by the book, because you're really going to benefit. Now, having said that, a lot of people are joining with fake accounts, which is good. Yeah. So that's fine. So now, what are the causes of loneliness? Number one, social isolation or lack of regular social contact. Say, for example, you have got friends, you have limited friends, yeah, or you don't catch up with your friends regularly, so you're always bored in the house. That can be classed as loneliness. Loneliness, yes. Now, living alone or being far from family and friends. Say, for example, you're living in an island, or you moved to a different city, or you relocated from maybe Belfast to Australia for maybe a period of 2 years. You don't know anybody in Australia. Obviously, when you go there, you make friends, but not immediate. The friends that you make them later on. I know that, but then the short period you be on your own before you start making friends, you'll be lonely because you don't have family members, you don't have friends. So that can be classed as loneliness as well. Having said that, another thing that one needs to understand that is moving to a new country, city, or community. I've talked about that one. Moving from Belfast to Australia, obviously, is a new environment that you're not used to, and you need time to settle in, need time to make friends, and then need time to start hanging out with friends. So those short period. So that one is called short time, temporal loneliness. Having said that, loss of loved ones through death or separation. So that is another huge thing that happened to me. I went through loss and bereavement recently. That was last year, and then the team where I felt I put in all my energy, my work, my everything. Is a place, is a job I sincerely loved, and then they knew I went through loss and grief. My going back to work, only four persons sent condolence messages to me. The rest pretend as if nothing never happened. You know, this really broke my heart. So if you're in that situation too, I believe you feel the same way I felt. I felt a shadow of myself. I felt lonely instantly, knowing fully well that these people know I've lost. So I lost someone that is part of my life, and then all of a sudden, I'm back to work. Not even, oh, accept my condolence, or we're thinking of you, thinking about in our thoughts and prayer. No condolence message, just only four persons out of 12 persons or 11 persons. That was really, really distressing. But then they're not obliged, nobody's obliged to say, send condolence messages, but it's just courtesy. This person is going through a bereavement process, loss and grief. At least be kind to that person. So these are the things that I never saw. And I said, you know what? I don't think this place, I really love this job, but this place is not for me. I need to start looking for somewhere else to go. A place where I will be accepted for who I am. When I make mistake, you correct me with love. I learn from it, I reflect on it, and I move on. Use the feedback to improve my practice. Accept my accent for who I am. Accept my color for who I am. Accept my work for who I am. Accept my personality for who I am. As a human being, not just keep judging every day you come to work. You're being judged. You're being, that kind of environment is just too toxic for you, for any human being that really wants the best for him or herself to remain. Another area of loneliness, causes of loneliness could be divorce or relationship breakdown. Say for those that are married, that their relationship, they are divorced, or those are still married, their relationship has broken down, they've got their separate ways, or those are living together but always keeping malice, or those are living together, fighting and quarreling every day. So these are or those that are still living together but one party is cheating. There's no conversation in the family. So these are also types of loneliness. So the reason why I am using myself as a case study, because I'm somebody that have personally been through a lot. So that is why this time around I'm extremely very calm. I'm extremely very quiet about situations about life. I don't rush into decisions. Before I make my decisions and said, you know what, I've had enough. That's me going. Come rain, sunshine, I must move. you know I try to gather as much evidence as I can before I make up that decision, because if anything wants to backfire, I release all those evidences. So, and I try to give people the opportunity to say, you know what, I'm making things informal at this stage, I just want to move on. It's only when you prove stubborn to say, you know what, you're going nowhere, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to start bringing lies, that is when I'll release all my evidences. Then you'll be shocked. You'll be shocked. Then you will now regret why you didn't leave it at that informal stage and let everybody just move on. So that is anything you're doing in this life. I encourage you to keep evidence, keep dates, very, very important. Put them in any way you want to save them, but keep date, facts, you know, comments, everything that was said. Just keep track of everything. It should be in your head, in your diary. Anyway, you want to keep it, just keep it, because tomorrow you might need those evidences, because you can't trust anybody, honestly. So that's on that. Then retirement or job loss leading to fewer daily interactions. Say, for example, you lost your job, you'll be lonely. Like for me, I've never been off sick for a very long time, but for me to be off sick, to come and sit in the house doing nothing, I find that as loneliness, because when the kids leave for school, they don't come back till evening time. I feel really, really lonely. Sometimes, initially, the first week I was off sick from work, the first 2 weeks, I was like literally crying in the house. The reason I was crying, because I'm not used to. I'm a career oriented person. For me to be off sick, to sit in the house, to do nothing, morning till night, you're sleeping. You're just thinking. You're not even eating. You're thinking. You're losing weight because you're crying your head out. So you're off sick. You're off sick. If doctor says you're off sick, stay in the house. You're off sick until you get well. So, but then so that can be temporal that can be a temporal loneliness, because the kids are in school, you're feeling empty within you because normally you should be fit, you should be at work, you should be busy, you're not used to sitting down in the house, all those things are temporal loneliness. So you can actually, feel sad during that period. So retirement also is a very huge factor. So you're out there working 9 to 5 job or whatever job you're doing in this line. I want you to understand that one day you retire. When you retire, what's are you retiring today? From next week, you're beginning to feel lonely. That is not what you want for yourself. So you need to make plans for yourself. When I retire, what will I be doing to keep myself busy? Will I pick up a part-time job? For me, I feel even if I retire, I said to myself, I can be doing my online content creation. I can be doing my online content, even if just to give advice, motivational advice online. That will keep me busy. If I do that 3 hours in a day, during my retirement, it's something. Some people might say, okay, when I retire, I want to start doing tailoring. I want to start doing people's hair. I want to do this. I want to do that. So that is everybody. You need to have something that you would like to do when you retire. Not just eat, sleep, wake up, eat, sleep, wake up, eat, sleep, wake up, eat, sleep, wake up. That's not what you want to do. Yeah, you eat, you sleep, you wake up, I know that, but then you need to do something that can keep you active. So what is that thing that you want to keep you active? So when you retire, you see a lot of people, they retire, the next minute they've started falling ill. Before you know, you can't recognize them. They look more far older than their age. You'll be wondering if they've got medical issues or not. It's just loneliness and depression that's causing all those things. Unnecessary anxiety, self-inflicted anxiety. So that's why you really need to know what you want to do when you retire. What kind of lifestyle you want to live. You want to go on holiday, fine, but all these are temporal. You go on holiday, you come back. When you come back from holiday, what do you want to do? You want to do gardening all the time? You can't do that all the time. So what do you want to do to keep you busy? You're not being busy, but you want to go to a coffee club, bingo, you want to catch up with friends. So you routine yourself, make a timetable for yourself so that you know the day you're going out, the days your friends are coming to see you, the days you're going for bingo, the days you're going shopping, the days you're doing your washing. If you spread them across, any between, you still have your rest as well, so that at least you're resting, you're doing things, you're active, you're not literally working for wages, but you're active in the house during your retirement. Very, very important. Job loss. When you lose your job, you feel that natural emptiness, more so if it's a job that you really didn't intend to lose, but you have to quit the job just because you needed peace. Because for me, I'm more than happy to do a less paid job that is very peaceful. I need a peaceful job. When I mean a peaceful job, a job that you're not being harassed. As a foreigner, we go through quite a lot of harassment, victimization, intimidation, racism, and a lot of bullying. As a foreigner in foreign countries, we go through all these things. So we try to overlook it. Not because when we speak, we will not be listened to in the law court. We will, but it comes with a lot of distractions. When I mean distractions, you have to make out time for a couple of meetings. You have to make this thing for what's it called, your get witnesses. You need to do a lot of write-ups. You need to go for hearing, a lot of things. There's a whole lot of distractions, and most if you've got young kids, it doesn't really permit you because you are busy with your kids as well. So that's why a lot of people, not because they don't know the right channel to channel their issues to, but because they feel it's just overwhelming. That is why they decide to not speak and just move on. And that is just my own ideology as well. I can always speak when I feel, what, let me just speak so that, I want to move on anyway, but let me just speak so they can use my own feedback, my own concerns to improve in their practice so that more people that are suffering there can have a bit of relief. So if you're in a place where every time they are pointing at you, every time you're pointing and looking at everybody's the same, you're the only different person. So you just feel targeted, and you just obviously know that place is not for you. Regardless how good the place is, just move on. That is what everybody will advise anybody. So having said that, job loss can lead to loneliness as well, and leading to fewer daily activities. So obviously if you've lost your job, you'll not be happy anyway, you'll be sad. And then also you now sitting down in the house, start scouting for new job. That period you have limited interactions, you will not be really happy. So that could be a short-term loneliness as well. We also have long-term illness or disability that limits social participation. Say for example, you've got physical disability, you're unable to walk, you're using wheelchair, that limits your accessibility to other facilities, that normally if you're working, you want to like pop to the gym, you want to go. But if you're disabled, obviously you wouldn't want to be doing all those things, except you have to have a carer that will assist you to be doing all those things in a minimal form if safe to do so. But then that limits your daily life activity, so that can be a long time loneliness. So disability can be a form of one of the causes of long-term loneliness. We also have technology replacing face-to-face communication. Okay, so we have our um, Facebook, we have your online whatever. We have your telephone, your messages, your WhatsApp, where you message your friends. Rather than seeing them. Gone are days where you have to go visit your friends, but now you don't have to really go see your friends. You have to message them, "Hi, how are you?" You talk on the phone, and that's it. So while you're doing all these things, it's very safe for you to say that you are going to technology is replacing face-to-face communication, and that can be another form of causes of loneliness as well. We also have the cultural and language barrier when living abroad. Yes. So some of us that have got accent, like for me, I've got accent. So when I go to a place, like for me, because I study human being and I read, I understand human being. The moment I go get a new place, I study the work environment, not the routine of the job yet. But for the routine of the job, that one is compulsory. I must know it. I must learn it properly well, and I will know it. But you see, the dynamics of the job, the work environment, the human being themselves. I study them. I know who is who within the first 7 days. I can tell you for free. This one is this person. This person cannot be trusted. This one can be trusted. This one is double faced. I can tell everybody this one is a pretender and this one is a manipulator. This one is extremely good at supporting. So I cling onto the one that's extremely good and supportive because I want anything that has to do with positive energy. So having said that, if you are the type that have got like cultural or language barrier, that and you're living in a foreign land that whose language is not your first language, obviously that is going to cause form of loneliness because when you speak, say for example, you're at work and you speak, people say they don't understand what you're saying. Obviously, you feel that kind of you wouldn't want to be speaking. You want to keep quiet. So when people are bringing their ideas, you bring your idea, they overlook your idea. Reason being, some of them maybe they don't understand what you're saying, but some of them they just want to like shove you away, that kind of subtle letting down. They're not saying a word, but you can tell from their eye rolling and their eyeball and their eye contact with others. You can tell that they don't just want your suggestion in that conversation. So you can obviously tell if you are the type that is smart and you watch your back, you can tell. So you don't need somebody to tell you at that point. You just draw backward. You just know that this is not just about my language or cultural differences. It's about my personality or it's about who I am or my person that these people really don't like. So cultural and language barrier can cause a huge problem. Can cause loneliness, temporal or long form of loneliness when you're living abroad. Now, we also have what we call the psychological causes of loneliness. What are the psychological causes of loneliness? Number one, low self-esteem or lack of confidence. So that one is something that sometimes you cause by yourself and sometimes it's being caused to you by other people. Say, for example, if you know what you're doing, go for it. Say, for example, a doctor came and gave a diagnosis about somebody that is having pulmonary embolism. You come and also see the same patient the next day and said, "Oh, it's a COPD exacerbation." Both symptoms pointed towards this direction. Both symptoms that was displayed by this patient is the same symptom being processed systematically, and you have got your own findings to say it's a COPD, and another one said it's pulmonary embolism. So both of you are right in your own clinical judgment. So nobody should just come and say, "Oh, don't just go and feel, oh, could it be I was wrong? Oh, I said COPD, so I was wrong then." No, that is your own clinical judgment because that is your own rationale and that is your own systematic assessment you've done on this particular person, and arrived at your differential diagnosis, and that's your findings. So you don't bring yourself down. The moment you start to doubt yourself, that's where lack of confidence comes in. And once you lack confidence, if you're working working environment, rather than people supporting you, they see that you lack confidence, they want to inflict more problems on you to make sure that little confidence that you have is being broken down completely. And once you've lost your confidence completely, sorry is your last name. When I mean sorry, sorry is your last name, because once your confidence is broken down completely, then everything will be thrown at you. Oh, she done it, he done it, she done it. Then you now total, then society anxiety or fear of rejection. So if you're out there, you're scared. Oh, I don't know how they feel about my accent. Social anxiety. Like for me, I only go out to for meals with either my friends or my family, where I am extremely comfortable, like extremely comfortable. I don't go out with colleagues at work, especially in a working environment that I feel is toxic. People are not being honest. They are pretenders, they are manipulators, they instigate people to, people that are not honest. They say one thing, they do another thing behind. So people like that, except I'm being forced to go on a meal with you, but naturally me, I wouldn't go on a meal with you because I am not comfortable. So that falls into this where I say society anxiety, social anxiety, or fear of rejection. Some people, I have been in a situation in my former work where I went out on a meal with my colleagues. And on getting to that venue, nobody spoke to me throughout the period that we had our starter, main course, and dessert. Only one member of staff was speaking to me. I noticed it. That is what I call fear of rejection. So they were chatting amongst themselves, but nobody maintained eye contact with me. I observed everything that happened. Only one person spoke with me all through the period, and at the end of the day, I went home. So I said to myself, that is never going to happen. I will never in my entire life go out with colleagues again at work. Never, not even Christmas outing. I said to myself, I will never, because there's no point. You can see the rejection, you can see the isolation. We were in a group of about 11 or 10, but I was feeling extremely isolated. So that is something that I can never forget in my entire life. So I learn every day, and I'm a very smart, intelligent person. So I take every feedback seriously, whether negative or positive. I take it very seriously, and I try to use that to improve in my practice. That is where I learn. So that is why, and when I see people trying to play games, that really puts me off, because I just feel everybody should be. If I don't want to work in your place, don't force me to work in your place. Just let me go. Just do the needful. Let me just go. Don't keep me there and be suffering me. No, let me just go. And don't do as if you own the organization. The organization is owned by all of us. We're all paying our taxes. We're all working. So don't do as if one person is more important in the organization because of. So a lot of people use their power. This power tussle. Use abuse of office. That's why I call it. Abuse their office in the way that they use their office to abuse foreigners, especially, and bring it down to level zero. Bring it down to nothing until you want to fight a legal battle with them. That's when they will leave you alone. Else they want to torment you. So I've had cases of so many people, so many cases. So that's why I'm extremely being careful. I said loneliness is not what anybody needs in their life. So when you get to that stage, you really need to seek for help. Also, we have what we call past trauma or negative relationship experience. If you're somebody that have been in a bad relationship before in the past, you'll be scared making new relationship. That one is just very true. But then not every new relationship you go into is as bad as your previous relationship. So sometimes you still need to try new relationship to be able to get on with life. So because you can't be a solitary reaper, obviously. Also depression and emotional distress, really, yes. Now, what do I mean by depression and emotional distress? Depression and emotional distress is real. I've done a video about depression. The emotional distress, when your emotions is being played with all the time, is being tampered with all the time. It could be at church, in your neighborhood, or at a place of work. Like the reason why I'm always using place of work as an example, because majority suffer this at place of work, and not everybody is bold enough to come and say it in public or to come and speak. Like I said, I am a strong advocate of confidentiality. I am also a strong advocate of GDPR. And having said that, no names are being mentioned, no identifiable information, but then the message still needs to be passed to the public. When I mean passed to the public, if you're out there, you're struggling in any group of setting, whether at church or workplace, and you are having that sense of not being a sense of isolation, sense of rejection by the people you're working with, or sense of isolation, or sense of loneliness, feeling lonely or being targeted, just move on. Or you feel your emotion, you leave your house happy, you go for your visit, but the moment you step into the office, 1 hour into you sitting down, they've spoiled your mood. That's emotional abuse. If your emotions is being abused continuously, it is time for you to seek help and leave. However, even if the job is the job that you love so much, just quit, just move on, because your sanity and your peace, your happiness and well-being is paramount compared to any job on this earth, any job. So that is why I say, and if you're not comfortable and if they feel you leaving is going to cause big problem, and if you feel they have lied against you, take them to court. So we have the court system. Don't be scared going to court with people. Even your manager, drag her to court. People should go to court and settle your differences, but make sure you have all your facts and your evidence ready. So don't be scared. Don't let anybody to bring down your confidence. Very, very important. Also, difficulties trusting others. So, like I did mention, yes, it's very correct. If you are in a setting where you, like for me, when I come to a new setting, like I said, I study people, and the people that I really can't trust, like some people that they are double faced, they're like this, they are just like this. They are not in the middle. They're not at the center. Those people you can't trust them. The people that you cannot trust, or you and them will say something tomorrow. They'll be say, I've had experience with one of the girls that I did like her initially. I did like her. I came back one day from one of the visits, and I was so exhausted because I've driven that miles like 4 times. I went, I came, I went, I came. It's a huge miles, like 44 miles I drove in total to cover that, to go to that particular place, going and coming twice. That's 4 times driving. I got really exhausted, and I went to have a peaceful rest next door. Do you know she went to report me to our manager that I came back from so place? I wasn't happy. She reported me I wasn't happy without understanding the contents, why I was sitting there alone by myself. And at the end of the day, these are people that never said sorry. Apologies. I heard you went through loss and grief, bereavement process. Never send their condolence. These are people that did not send their condolence. I never crucified them. Then at the end of the shift, when I was leaving, I just came downstairs and I just left. We finished. I closed work. We all left. I came downstairs and I left. I never said bye to anyone. I am not obliged to say bye to anybody. So because I didn't say bye, she feels entitled. I should have said bye to her. I don't have to say bye to you because obviously I'm exhausted and I don't feel like talking. I went home. 2 days later, I got called by the our manager to say, "Oh, they said I was not happy." Blah 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 blah. That was a blatant lie. That was a huge lie. I was exhausted. I was exhausted. So people just look at you, look at the countenance, and make up stories and assume you're not happy for something without understanding the contents or coming to you. What is the problem? They just use your action because I didn't speak, I didn't say a word. I stayed till the end of the shift, and I just left without saying bye to anyone. I am not obliged to say bye to anybody. So I don't know how people feel. So that is why you need to really understand. People that you cannot trust. Do not difficulty trusting others. If you don't trust them, please be very careful about them. Then feeling misunderstood or unappreciated. That is me. That is another thing that happened to me. Feeling misunderstood, like this issue about me driving a two-way distance 4 times in a day, and I was feeling exhausted at the end of the day. Somebody misunderstood me. Never came to ask me, "Oh, why are you on your own here? What happened?" Nobody understood me. Nobody came to care to ask. Rather, they just assumed me sitting alone, meaning I don't want to associate with the rest of the people, and then going around to say I wasn't happy. What do you use to quantify someone that is not happy? So people just make up stories, say things that suits them, without hearing from the other side of the story. So we foreigners, we 80 over 100 times gets misunderstood, and we feel we are being unappreciated because my recent job I just quit. When I was a month old in the job, I had a reflection. I was literally like 4 weeks into the job, and one of the managers held a one-to-one meeting with me. She called I don't know what the it's not. I don't know the meeting she called it whether something review meeting, whatever. In that meeting, everything that she said there was negative. I went through the minutes. I looked at everything. So I wanted to come and sit down here. I wanted to do when I was speaking to the more detail, do this. Oh my God. When I went through the feedback, everything was negative. I was like, what the hell? The manager will have a review with somebody or a CPD meeting with somebody, and then everything that she has said there will be negative, negative, negative. There's no atom of positivity there. That alone tells you who that manager is. Because if you're a manager, you're doing your job well, your employee should have at least 40% negative, 60% positive, or 60% negative and 40% positive. It cannot be 100% negative. No, it doesn't work that way. So you're not doing your job well as well. And this somebody that literally 4 weeks into the job, a brand new job that the person has never done in his or her entire life before. The person needs plenty of time to consolidate the educational aspect into the work ethics, you know. But then, hey ho, people are being rushed unnecessarily, you know. So there are a lot of reasons why you feel lonely, and when you get to that stage where you feel lonely, you need to speak out, okay? But anything you're doing, maintain professionalism and confidentiality, because these are the two things that you really need to cover yourself. You maintain professionalism, make sure no identifiable information is being said, and then make sure you maintain your ground. I'm doing this video for reference purposes so that it's out there, so that everybody knows it's out there, and then also to motivate people. If you're in the same shoes, please speak out. Do not die in silence. There are a lot of people that are in toxic marriages as well. They remain in that marriage until they just die. You don't want that. So that is why you need to speak up for yourself. When it's not too late, even if you're in a toxic relationship, in a toxic work environment, please quit at the right time. Quit at the right time. Please quit at the right time. I am advocating to people and pleading with people, do not stay in any toxic relationship, because mentally it's going to drain you down. Mentally, I knew when I was off sick how many weeks I cried in the house. I was literally in the house crying because I was just lonely. I was just in the house doing nothing, you know. So don't wait until you get to that point where you break down, you start crying. Everybody knows how much I love my job. My job doesn't start until 8:30, but I get there for 7:30. So I'm 1 hour way ahead. That is the way I love the job. I love the job so much that I can't imagine even right now that I have to quit that job. I have to quit it for my well-being. Honestly, I couldn't speak the first 3 weeks I was off sick. I couldn't speak. I couldn't say a word. I was like crying morning till night. I will cry. Once I wake up from sleep, I remember I will just cry. Went through what I've been through. I was taking notes. I was writing. I've got a huge diary that is filled with so many things I've written. A lot of things with dates, you know. I went through all of them. I'll read some comment that somebody have just described my accent as oh God, I went through hell. I went through hell. A lot of things I went through that I said to myself, no, crying is not going to solve it. You've come off it, be bold, put yourself together, get healed, and say your own side of the story in a very summarized way and move on. And that is what I want everybody to do as well. It's okay to feel hurt terribly. It's okay not to speak. But before you speak, make sure you are healed. You're not making any decision out of haste. You know, you're not in a hurry. You're not making any decision out of being worried, you know, in a rush. You are making an informed decision. So that is why when you're hot, give yourself time to heal. When you heal, your head will be clear. You know what you want to say and you know what you don't want to say. I encourage everybody to just speak out and just move on. When you speak out and move on, you see that you feel relieved. You have that peace within you. Sometimes when you try to move on, they'll go to the other place you're going to go and tarnish your image. But if that happens, I encourage you to sue them. You know, sue them. If it's character defamation, you sue them. When you sue them, everybody will sit up. More people will sit up because some people, once you move from one place to another, they'll phone the other side, say horrible things about you just to tarnish your image before you arrive at that new destination. So that is why, if what they have said is lies, in my own situation, they can't say anything negative because I've always worked professionally and to the best of my ability. I've maintained all professional. I've met all professional criteria. So you really can't go to any place to go and tarnish my image because if you do, I'm going to be suing you. You understand? Out with the organization, I'll sue you as an individual, not as an organization. So out with the organization, I'll be suing you. We are both still employees of the same organization, but I will sue you out with the organization. So you and I will be going to court. Whoever is convicted, then you have to surrender yourself. So that is just it. So that is why it's very, very important you keep facts and you keep figures, you keep dates and you keep evidences because you might need it tomorrow. So also we have what we call situations that increases loneliness, starting a new job or school. That can cause anxiety. Or if you're starting a new job, you don't have friends yet, you need to study new people. So that is something that you really need to work on. So I encourage you when you are starting a new job, please be as open as possible, be as flexible as possible. Get to know the work ethics, what the routines you're not sure, speak to your line manager, and she will guide you through. However, make sure your confidence level is high in the roof. Do not, and you have self-esteem. Do not ever have low self-esteem, because if you do, that leads to low confidence, and before you know it, you have the same problem you had at the previous place. So do not let anybody bring down your confidence level. Also, starting a new school, you'll be anxious, you don't have friends, you take time to assimilate, get to know people and all that. So that can also cause these are increases loneliness. Also, being an immigrant in a foreign country is also another one as well. You left your country to a new country for education or for greener pasture or for a job or for one thing or the other. Obviously, you're going to be lonely. It takes time for you to get to know people, get to trust people, and get to, see who you can get along with, So not everybody you come across with will automatically be your friend. Some people maybe don't like their lifestyle, or don't like their ways of talking, or their subject of communication you really don't like it. It's not it's not your area. You just let go. But when you take time to get to know your people, also living in a busy city but lacking meaningful relationship. You are living, say for example, you're living in central London where you have a lot of people, and but then you are lacking that meaningful relationship. The nobody People come and go out of your life, nobody's like staying. So that is another one. Then spending long period working alone. When I mean working alone, you spend long period working, So you are the type that is working, 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 working. You really don't have time for your social life. You don't go out for meals. You don't go out for drinks. You don't go partying. You don't go to church. You don't have enough rest. You're just working, working, working. That can be a prolonged or temporal loneliness. So it's very, very important. Anything you're doing in this life, look after your health. Your health is very, very important. And like I said, also caring responsibilities that reduces social contact. If you have a caring responsibility, like you have young kids, and then you're very busy with the kids, and then you're dropping them off to the school, you're going shopping, you come back home, you cook, it's time for them to go pick them up. When you pick them, you take them to football or their activities, outdoor activities, you bring them back home, it's time for you to get them ready for bed, then you go to sleep. The next morning again, you slept for a few hours, you are awake again. So these are all limited, reduced social interaction because of your caring responsibility for your young kids. But that notwithstanding, you try as much as you can to make out time for yourself, for your personal self, so you can go out and meet with friends, catch up with friends, and all that. So, hi guys, thanks for joining my life. I really appreciate you guys. So, our section today is going to just be an hour because I need to get the kids. My kids are going out. I need to get them ready as well. So it's going to be an hour. I don't know how much time we spent now. So we're just going to be wrapping up shortly because it's almost an hour, guys. So having said that, we also have what we call um, care responsibilities as well, which I've just said. Then financial stress that limits social activities. What I mean is financial stress, you lack the resources or the finance or the money to go out and buy things, socialize with friends, or social activities. So if you're financially struggling, obviously that is going to limit your social activities as well. So that's the reason why you need to make sure you plan, make provisions for all these things. And like for me, I live a routine life. I'm a very career person naturally by nature. I love to go to work. I love to make impact. I love to create positivity in lives of people. I love to promote quality of life in the life of people. So, however, I love to work in a very conducive environment to be able to bring this holistic support, provide holistic person-centered care to the people I look after. So having said that, it is very, very important. It's not all about the patient, 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 patient. It's two ways. The employees as well need to be looked after as well. But in most cases, the employees are being overlooked, and the focus is just on the patient. What have you done? What have you not done? This is not this. This is not that. It's so shocking, honestly. But then you need to look after yourself, because if anything happens to you, the job will still go on. So that is why I just look at people. I just look at people. I just smile because I just smile. It's not a do or die affair. Complete verification in the next 5 minutes. So I'm gonna complete verification now because I've been online for an hour. So I've just completed the verification for the puzzle. So I think we're just an hour now. So that is why I got that verification note. So Financial, if you're strong financially, it's gonna definitely affect your social activities. So that is why you need to plan ahead and then make sure you're not bored in the house. Then we also want to go and talk about the effects of loneliness. Number one, we have what we call the emotional sadness and distress. When you're lonely, you'll be sad internally and you'll be distressed. Whether at church, in the house, or at work, you're going to be distressed and you will not be talking. It increased risk of depression and anxiety. I suffered anxiety at my former job because I was so lonely to the point that there are certain questions I need to even ask. I can't ask it because when you ask, they judge you on that same question. Why is she asking me this question? Does she not know it? Sometimes I call people out with my work settings. Because they will give you honest advice. They will not judge you. They will give you that solution. They will guide you professionally. But when you ask people within your place of work, they'll say, "Oh, why does she not know this? Why is she asking that question? She's so daft." They use the word daft like on a daily basis to describe full-grown human being. She's so stupid. They say it every day. What kind of a job is that? That you go to work, somebody will be saying she's so stupid, she's so daft. That's every day is being every shift you go to, that word is being used. And is meant to be a professional setting. But yet, they use words that I can't even say to my enemy. So that's another thing that you need to understand. So anxiety comes in, depression comes in. So that is why increase the risk of depression and anxiety. So you really need to be very careful when you are getting to that stage. Please just quit. Then on the major one is poor concentration and reduced motivation. If a job that you're enthusiastic about, you're passionate about, you start losing that motivation. Say for example, I leave my house very happy. I go see all my patients. Then I'm happy to up to that end of seeing my patient. Then me heading back to the office, I'm feeling like, oh God, me going back to that office again. You know, that is, you are not being motivated to go to that office because as you're going there, the first 1 hour you're sitting down trying to do your notes on the system, they must look for one fault. They are always picking for fault. That alone will reduce your concentration. And once your concentration reduces, it affects you because you're going to be start making mistakes. And you're dealing with lives of people here. You can't just make mistakes. It's okay. Your clinical decision making can be different from somebody else, but then that is different. But then you can't just physically make mistakes because you're dealing with human life. So that is why concentration is very important. When you see your concentration is being tampered with or is being impacted due to work toxicity and the other factors at workplace, it is time for you to speak out, leave, or don't speak out, leave. The point is that you must leave at that point because your safety is not guaranteed. Safety of the people you're looking after is not guaranteed because you are beginning to have a poor concentration. You're beginning to be scared coming to work. You're anxious. You're going through a reduced motivation stage, and you're having low self-esteem. Low self-worth, negative thinking. You're thinking that, to yourself. So does it mean I don't know this? What would I have done differently? You're always soliloquizing in your ear. You're always thinking. You're always talking negative thinking. You really don't. And also, it affects your sleep as well. Poor sleep. Can imagine you go to work, you have a bad day at work, you bring it back home, you have reduced appetite, you can't eat, you go to sleep, you be like first 5 hours you be in the bed, your head will be spinning, you're thinking, you can't sleep, and the next 4 hours again you have to get up again and go to work. You actually lie down for 9 hours, but literally you slept for only 4 hours, which is not enough sleep for the next day. So that's why you really need to look after yourself. Very, very important. Don't let anybody to stress you, not anybody to bring down your reputation. Know your right, read the guidelines. Like me, I have the BNF I work with. I have a nice guideline, and it's a palliative guideline I work with. And having said that, you also need to read the employment law as well. What I mean, employment law, know your rights, and know what you want to achieve, so that nobody will just come and cook up one story and just put you in unnecessary trouble. No, we'll all go to court. When I mean we will all go to court, if you cook up any story, you defend yourself in court. We'll go to court. The court will look at it. Other professionals will come and look at the case and say, no, this one I think is this rationale is okay. This one is okay. Because some people get into trouble out of fear. They put lies on you. You can't defend yourself. You just keep quiet and you get in trouble for no reason. I've seen people that Bonner Boy and VDM went and released from jail. Majority of them were there, just innocent people. We've heard stories in America where people were charged wrongly, went to jail, and came back after 35 years. That is half of their career gone. And it was fault. At the end, what did they say? Oh, we are sorry. It was a miss, whatever, But then, so that's why you don't need to take chances. You need to be very, very careful and read policies that will guide you and keep your evidences and always work by the book. When you're working, when you do your notes, go back and read your notes. If there's any mistake, you fix it. Work. Don't let anybody rush you. Do your job sequentially and keep fact. Document it, because what is not documented is not done. If you've not documented anything, it's not done. So before they will come up with one big lies, you've already documented everything. And if there's anything that they need to feed forward to you, they are more than free to feed forward to you. They can use that negative or positive feed forward to you in your practice for the future, to improve in your practice for the future, but not to use and pin you down as a yardstick that say, oh, you didn't do this for that reason is this. No, drag them to court, take them to court, so that everybody will sit up. That's why you need to know your policies and procedures. You need to know the guidelines. So if you don't like me, it's fine. You don't need to like my personality. You don't need to like who I am. I don't even know if I even like you anyway. So it could be two-way. You don't like me, I don't like you. So there's no point pretending about it. So professionally, you need to be extremely professional. Very, very important. And also feeling disconnected from society. If you have long-term disability, you're indoor in the house, you really can't do a lot of things. Carers come to see you, your medication is being delivered, your foodstuffs, everything is being done indoor. You have that disconnection, long-term disconnection from society. That alone can affect loneliness, increase stress level. When you're the type that is working, having a good rest, that can increase your stress level. And that is not what you want. Reduce physical health and immune functions. It also can affect loneliness, can affect one of the effects of loneliness is reduced physical health and immune function. Also, loneliness can affect your sleeping pattern. Very, very important. So, conclusively, guy, I want to quickly say, what are the treatments of treatment and ways to reduce loneliness? So one of the things is building and maintaining social relationship, reconnecting with friends and family members. When I mean friends and family members, the genuine ones, not the fake ones, because we have some friends at workplace, they get information from you. But I already know about one girl. My instinct has told me that she'll send you a text message. When you send that text message back, she'll forward that text message to another person in the team that is not my friend. So she's just a tool that they use to get information from A to them, because they can't come to A. So they use her as a tool, as a middle person. So that's the job she does, because maybe she feels worshiping them is okay, but then she's forgetting that when you stab somebody at the back, tomorrow somebody else will stab you as well. So you don't pay Peter for Paul. But then I noticed that's what she's being used for. So they send on errand to us. They use her she will send text to any of us, or say, for example, to me, I will reply her back, she'll forward that text to them. So invariably, they get information from her about us, or about me. From me, they get information about me through her. So that is just a bizarre ways of life. So I noticed she's that kind of person, so that is why I'm extremely being careful as well. But anyway, we're never going to cross paths anyway, so that is Bible. So know those kind of people that betray us, that they claim to be friends or colleagues or family members. Just cut them off, just move on with your life. That's what you need. Then also, joining community groups or social activities can help as well. If you're a retiree, if you're retired, that can help you. Participating in voluntary opportunities can help you as well. If you're retired, you can volunteer once a week in one of the health centers, or in one of the bakery shops, or in one of the newspaper outlets. That will keep you going. Then developing hobbies or interests that involves interaction with others. Say you're going to yoga classes, you're going to exercise classes. All this will help you in your interaction. Then attending support groups or community groups that can also help you as well. So very, very important to do all these things I've just said to you, and you'll be fine. Then improving mental health, well-being. Your mental well-being is very important. How do you say this? Talking openly about feelings with trusted people. Sometimes you really can't trust people, because when you speak out, say for example, you just came out from a very toxic workplace environment, and then prior to you coming out is there to speak out. You know, the moment you speak out, you are meant to speak out to maybe a line manager that you can trust. But sometimes, if the line manager you're speaking to is a friend of the other line manager, what they do, they go behind you to go and start looking for all the faults you have done or things they can use to pin you down or to put allegations on you. That is what literally they do. They backfire you. They come back, and what audacity has she got to come and but you are meant to speak out. That is what the policy says. If you're feeling that way, you speak out to trusted people. But you see, you cannot speak out to strangers. You have to speak out to whoever that is your line manager. But when you do, what they do, they hold separate meetings behind you, cook up lies, cook up stories to come and use that to come and attack you in return. So that is the reason why plenty black people don't speak. Plenty foreigners don't speak. They suffer, and they quit the job. And for those that are on COS, they see them as slaves because they can't leave, because they are immigration, whatever. COS is attached to the employment. They stay there, they suffer, they give them tax because they know they can't leave. And if you leave, you lose your sponsorship, you go back to your country. Because of that, they are just enduring. How long will you endure? That's the thing. So that is why people don't speak, because they are scared to lose their sponsorship. And people don't speak because the line managers will all gang up and start fighting them. But if you know your job, that's why I said it at the start. For me, any job I do it perfectly well. When I mean perfectly well, you will not find any error. As human, we are bound to make mistakes. There are some things I don't know that I'll end up making mistakes. You can keep me right. That is why we have a reporting system, incident reporting system. Then the reason for that incident reporting system is not to get back at anybody, but is rather to for everybody to reflect in their practice, whoever that is involved to reflect in his or her practice and move on and reflect on it to help improve in your life for the future. But people don't speak out because they are scared to come back to be targeted. So that is a lot of reasons why people don't speak out. So talking openly about feelings with trusted people, practicing mindfulness and relaxation exercises can help, and techniques can help. Maintaining a healthy lifestyle with regular exercise can also help with your mental health, mental well-being. And also eating balanced meals and maintaining proper sleep habit can also help you recover from loneliness. Then um improving mental health well-being. One of the things that you can do is by limiting excessive use of social media if it increases the feeling of isolation. For me, social media, I don't feel it reduces it, but then it's sometimes if you feel you're feeling isolated and then you're feeling isolated and you're using more of social media, you can just like take a break, go and have a wee rest and then look after yourself. Make sure your well-being is very important. Improving your mental well-being is very important. Please, if in a toxic relationship is not working, just move on. Don't just move on. Don't stay there until you just die. No, just move on. If in a toxic relationship, toxic environment, if you feel your life is being threatened or you feel you don't feel safe anymore in that kind of environment, move home. Just move away. I really don't know how people just stay in a toxic environment without saying a word. If in a toxic workplace, just move away. If you are using COS and you feel both of COS, let me just stay. Rather than complaining every day, look for that COS. You will get it. If you're extremely professional, you know your job, you know your qualities as a human being. For me, I know my qualities. Every job I do, I will do it perfectly well. So I know my qualities. I know I have a lot to offer to any company that I will be working for. I have a lot because I will so work for you in a person-centered approach manner, in the sense that you, without being told, you know that this job is my eternity. I love this job so much. Every job I do, that is the way I do it with the entire heart, with love, with passion. That is what every job should look like. But if you feel you are not safe in that environment, please don't waste time to leave. Now, what are the professional supports you can get when you're feeling lonely, or when you're feeling isolated, or when you're feeling depressed, or when you're feeling rejected by the society? What professional support can you get? One, seeking help from a counselor or a therapist can help. So that is why you have your GP practices. Okay. When I had the spirit of when I was feeling isolated, feeling lonely at my work, my other workplace, where I felt the environment was extremely toxic, extremely toxic. I was so anxious, so scared. I was panicking going to work because I really don't want to go to work under that kind of anxiety, fear, because everything you do, they pick on you. I spoke to my GP. I spoke to quite a few people, a few health professionals, and I spoke to my GP as well. So these people, they'll listen to you. They know these things exist at workplace. It is easy to say equal opportunity. There's nothing equal about any opportunity. When you are in the system, you will know there is no equal opportunity. The equal opportunity for certain group of people is not for certain group of people, and it's for only certain group of people. When you enter there, so is what is written on paper is totally different from what is out there, what is being practiced. So that is why you need to head your head around it and move on. Know what you want out of this life, and then don't let anybody to stop your shine. Okay, that is just it. If anybody wants to bring force anything to come and tie you down, drag them to court. When I mean drag them to court, take all the evidence you've gathered and take them to court, and they'll leave you alone. The judges know that all these things exist at workplaces, and they know how foreigners are being tormented at workplace. They know. The judges, they know. So they will not just bring a case and they will say, "Oh, because you are this, you are that, you are wrong." No, the judges will carefully analyze every situation. That's why if your manager annoys you, take her to court. Take her out with the organization to court. Both of you go to court. If the court says no, you are wrong, then you apologize, or you are right. Then do, but take them to court. When you drag them to court, they will leave you alone. So very, very important. You don't do anything back. Hi dear, are you ready? Are you ready? Yeah, that's fine. You're free to go. That's fine. So that's just it. So very, very important. You seek help. Then consulting a GP if loneliness affects your mental health is very, very important. I spoke with an AMP. I spoke to the GP. I spoke to other health professionals as well. What I was going through at my work, and everything is documented. So it was really bad, very, very toxic, very toxic. That sometimes when I come home, I was like, the first few hours, I'll be like, wow, the job itself is very easy, but the human being make it so toxic. You know, they just hate you for no reason, just don't like you. They just don't like anything about you. Is anything about you annoys them. I don't know. I really don't understand. If the same God created all of us, I really don't understand. But then it is what it is. You just have to move on with life. So when you're in that situation, my dear, just move job, just move location, just move church, just move house, just move gym, just move. Participating in mental health program or support network can really help. They'll signpost you. If you speak to other health professionals, they'll signpost you. Make sure you attend those therapy sections and groups, and you'll be fine. Then limiting exercise uses limiting also another thing you can do is receiving therapy to improve social confidence and coping skills, because in some places when they reduce your confidence level to level 0 and you have that low self-esteem, it's really, really difficult for you to rise again. So that is why all these support systems are really good, like speaking to therapy as well, that can improve your social confidence, give you that social confidence, in the sense that somebody will tell you, "Oh, you're too ugly, we don't need in our group." They give you that confidence that you are very pretty. You don't see yourself as, even if you people look at you, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder anyway. So if somebody says, "Oh, you're too ugly, we can't feature you in our movie," or "You're too ugly, you're too don't let that their words weigh you down. You tell yourself, "I am created in the image of God. I look beautiful, I look okay in my eyes," and that's it. Raise yourself really high. When you raise yourself high, people will rate you the way you rate yourself. But when you talk negative about yourself, bring yourself down, people will rate you down all the time, and you don't need that kind of energy. You understand? Nobody's going to work for anybody forever anyway. I'm going to be a director. I'll work for myself someday. I will establish my own settings as well. I'll establish my own clinic where people will work for me as well. So I do not need to work for somebody for all the time. All I just need is the basic skills, and that is why I need to work for somebody to get all those skills, then get all my paperwork ready, then start working for myself. So nobody's going to work for anybody forever. So I don't know why people don't get that in their head and just let people just leave human beings the way God has created them. Let them be human beings and just go to their job, go to their school, go to their uni, go to their church, and come back in peace without Any form of harassment, you harass them, you're stalking them, you're doing all manner of things. People are feeling so scared, feeling unnecessarily bullied, harassed unnecessarily, there's no need for those atmosphere. There's no need. So that's why very, very important. You need a coping mechanism to boost your confidence level back up and your coping skills. Lastly, we want to talk about the positive coping strategies. What are the positive coping strategies that you need? Setting small social goal, say, such as speaking to someone new. Okay, you can set that goal by setting small social group, such as speaking to someone new, or engaging in community services or faith-based activities, or going to clean the church, or going to do teas, coffee, going to do the coffee at church, volunteering in positions like that. It's also helpful. It helps you to cope. You see people, you interact with people, you bring your ideas, you're not being loud, you're not too quiet, you're just in between, you're making sense positively. All those things can help. Practicing gratitude and positive thinking. Stop negative thinking about yourself. Don't say, oh, I can't do this, oh, I can't do this. You can do everything that you feel you can do. All you just need is a little motivation and little strength and little opportunity, and you shall be there. So do not bring yourself down. Don't let anybody to bring you down. If people feel, if you speak in public and people feel they don't understand you, then just damn it. Don't even, if somebody is kind to say, oh, can you repeat what you just said? You can repeat yourself. But if somebody just try to do as if they don't understand you, rolling their eyes, making mockery of you, just damn them. Continue your conversation and go. If they, at the end of the communication, if they don't understand anything, that's up to them. They don't have to understand you anyway. But if they really want to understand you, they will tell you, can you repeat that, please? Then you can kindly repeat it. But if they want to like mock you for your accent, just keep speaking. Whether they get anything out of the communication or not, that's up to them. It's not up to you. So you have to set the standard for yourself as well. So you don't just get drained unnecessarily by people that are not even up to your level. Because the majority of all these people that bully and harass you at workplaces, especially educational wise, they're not even up to your level. Intelligent wise, not up to your level. The only opportunity they have is because they are in their own country, and secondly, they have this favorism. They have this favorism because obviously they are friends with the manager, so they get promoted and all that. You get stuck in one place forever and ever and ever. Amen. That kind of a thing. Outwit that, they are not any better than you. So that's why you really need to be very, very careful. Don't let anybody bring down your confidence level. And anybody that wants to try shit around you, drag them to court. Very, very important. Every toxic environment, like I said, leave that environment. You don't need it. Then developing communication and relationship skill is really, really important. There are other AI tools online that teaches people how to speak, when to pause, the terminologies to use, and then things you don't say in a communication, the things you say when you're communicating. Very, very important. Maintaining eye contact is really, really important. When you speak to somebody or your patient or your friends or your colleague, it's very important they finish talking. When they're talking, you maintain that eye contact, you're nodding, showing that you're present. Then you speak at the right time as well. And you don't speak off. Try to understand. If you don't understand, ask questions. So that is why very, very important you need to put yourself on the spot. You don't need people to just put you on the spot unnecessarily. You have to decide what you want out of life, not people dictating you everything about just simply because you're working for them. These people, they are forgetting you can quit this job in one day and go to your house and sit down. You don't need to just go and kill yourself in one walk. No. So, but they are forgetting, they think because you work for them, they own you, they own everything about you, they can treat you anyway the way they like, you are nobody, and they still feel okay that the lifestyle, the way the infliction they're putting on you is normal because you don't want to speak. It doesn't work that way. Now, conclusively, loneliness is a common human experiences that can affect anyone. Remember, it can affect anyone. Like I said, I experienced loneliness at my former job. Bad one, really bad one that led to anxiety, poor concentration, and so many other things. So I had to speak out. Speaking out is annoying a lot of people because I spoke out, and then I said to myself, it will be reasonable if I speak out and leave. Because if I speak out and remain in that same job, I will face what I call times two of the suffering. So spiritually, I know that I will speak out and leave. And that is exactly what I done. So you know what your spiritual backup is. But for me, my spiritual backup, the moment I speak, I must move on. If I want to stay, I will not speak. I'll keep enduring. But the moment I want to speak out, decide to speak out, I must leave. That is my spiritual backing. So you know what you want out of it, because it would be highly unreasonable for you to speak and still remain in that same place, because what awaits you in the future will be terrible. So you don't need to put yourself in that kind of mess. So having said that, it can also cause social, psychological, or life circumstances. So that's why loneliness is a common human experience that can affect anybody. Like I said, it can be caused by social, psychological, and life circumstances. Although loneliness can be painful, it is possible to reduce it through connection, support, and healthy coping strategy. Know who you're trusting, because sometimes the person you're going to report to is a friend of the person that is tormenting you. The moment you report, they go and tell that person. Before you know it, they'll start cooking up lies against you. Before you know it, they'll end up targeting you. So you that is speaking out, that should have been the victim, will end up being the accused that is in trouble. So that's why you need to be very, very intelligent. You need to be very, very smart. You need to watch your back, and need to know what you're doing, so you don't go and speak, report somebody that has hurt you to somebody that is a friend of that person, and you end up being the person that will be targeted tomorrow, and they will put in trouble. So be very, very smart and be very, very intelligent. A lot of people out there that are foreigners, they living in foreign countries, they go through loneliness, whether they accept it or not. They go through loneliness at workplace. Very, very important. They go through loneliness at workplace. Workplace has a lot of human beings there, but then they are lonely. Nobody speaks to them. Nobody speaks. They look at them, so this one, don't speak to them. We go through a lot. We go through a lot, a lot. So that is why you get to a certain age, you take your own decision in your hands. Say, you know what, this is what I want. I am leaving. Join from your post. Hi. Hi, thanks for joining. So very, very important. If you're out there going through loneliness in your neighborhood, in your school, in your workplace, if in your school you're going through loneliness, you can mind your business. Use all the coping strategies I've told you to do it. Seek professional support, okay? But if you're in your neighborhood, you can't just, if you bought a house, can't leave your house and walk away. You still have to mind your business. Get the security personnel involved. If you feel a case of assault is involved, you get the security personnel involved. But then, having said that, you need to also understand the fact that anything you're doing need evidence. You can mind your business. If you're in a workplace, you can quietly mind your business and do the job. But if you feel you can't cope anymore, then you quit. If there's no harm in quitting, you will definitely get a job. Don't get stuck in one place and feel all is well. Just move on. Move on. You never can tell where you're going to can be a lot better. Even if it's not a lot better, just move. Just need to move and have that your sense of your life back. Your well-being needs to be reinstated, okay, before you can think of anything else in life. So very, very important. Then lastly, but not the least, building meaningful relationship and seeking help when needed are important steps towards overcoming loneliness. Don't forget, guys, don't forget, building meaningful relationship, not fake relationship, not betrayers, betraying relationship, meaningful relationships, and seeking help when needed from either your GP, your AMPs, your therapists are important steps towards overcoming loneliness. I hope this live video does make sense to everybody. If you're coming across to live for the first time, this is Chris Santos Investment. And then today we just talked about what is loneliness, causes of loneliness, and the treatment for loneliness, when to walk away, and when to seek help, professional support, when to seek and where to seek professional support, and then also positive coping strategies that you can do on your own to help you come off loneliness. Whether you're a student, or like you are you're retired, or you're in a working class, loneliness can affect anybody. So it's very important you realize what loneliness is and the difference between loneliness and isolation, and act fast. Make sure loneliness do not affect you mentally, because that can lead to depression, that can lead to anxiety, that can lead to poor concentration, that can lead to fear, and you can make mistakes, terrible mistakes that can cost you cause you big problem. So that is why you don't wait until your concentration goes down the rail and you make terrible mistakes that will put you in trouble. Also, loneliness can sometimes affect your low affect your confidence and your esteem, self-esteem. So that is why you need to seek help at the right time. I hope these videos all make sense. Kindly share and subscribe to our channel, and I will see you next Saturday with a different topic. Thank you. Bye. So now let me